And we are back on the Chosen Baseball Journey podcast with superstar MLB slugger Karim Garcia, Jonathan A. Hacohen. Karim, I see the Golden Buddha is back and I feel very zen. I'm feeling very alive. And there's a few MLB teams that need a lot of zen in their life because, man, after going through spring training, going through 162 games, making the playoffs, and not lasting very long in those playoffs, especially when it's a wild card finale. Not the best feeling in the world right now if you're the Brewers, the Braves, the Astros, and the Orioles. Four teams that were expected to go very, very far. Uh, are they happy they made the playoffs, or all four feel very disappointed right now?
Let's start with the Atlanta Braves.
Please.
They're very happy to make the playoff because the way they were injured the whole time, and pitching wise, and then Ronald Acuna, their superstar, hurt for the whole year.
Strider, remember him, the first
Yes.
round pick from my fantasy team.
So I mean, Atlanta Braves, they barely made the playoff, and as they made it, they went out right off the door on the first the wild card. So I think they happy that they made it. I'm not happy that the way they made it, because once the Mets won the game, the first one out of the doubleheader, the Mets didn't have anything to play for. They could have just put the AAA team and play against the Braves, and the Braves would have made the playoff. But if the Mets would have put somebody else, then the Arizona Diamondbacks would have been on the playoff. So, unfortunately, that's the way that things go. If you win the first one, you don't have to worry about the second one. And they did that. I win the first one. I don't care about the second one. Whoever makes it, makes it. Congratulations.
Let's
That's
put
kind of what pissed me off a little bit about that part.
let's put it this way. It would have been the D-backs or the Braves. I think the Padres are steamrolling them at that point. The Padres came in pretty hot. D-backs did not have a lot of momentum. And it's very frustrating, but if you don't want to lose on the tiebreaker, you should win more games during the regular year. And the D-backs lost enough games, man. They had a
Yeah.
very leaky bullpen. Very, very, trust me. I had Paul Sewald on my fantasy team, and he was giving up a lot of runs at one stretch there. Moreno was hurt. Gurriel was hurt. Uh, Neither the Braves or the D-backs, looked fantastic in that sense. But I agree with you. I think the Braves, it's a victory just making it, considering you lost your best player and your best pitcher. With everybody healthy next year, Mets would be a little nervous, as well as the Phillies. That's why if you're the Mets, Braves are out, Phillies are out. This is your best chance. You got to do it now. You got to go now. You're 8 victories away from the World Series. Just do
Yes.
it. That's it. Because I don't know if the Mets are getting another chance like this for years.
Well, they have the money to buy whatever they want. So I mean, they have the opportunity next year again to go and free agency and buy more other guys. But mentioning, going back a little bit, I guess, with the Arizona Diamondbacks, the comment that the owner made about Montgomery, the worst pick that we had was him, and I was the one that paid for him. I mean, I felt a little disrespected by the way that he said it and was put on the news. The worst. I mean, you pay $25 million to a guy. I mean, you gotta make a little bit more conscious signing next time. And if you already know that the guy didn't do what you expected, you don't throw up under the bus. You don't say whatever you just say on the papers. It was your mistake. Why do you have to tell the world that you made that big mistake?
I don't have an issue as much with him saying it, except I thought that Montgomery was there only on the 1 year deal. Montgomery's going to be back in spring training. He's still with the team.
Oh,
It's like a guy getting engaged and then going on a podcast and saying, my fiance is the worst fiance ever. This is my worst mistake. I should never got engaged. You're still engaged to them. Like it's so I can't see a world that Montgomery's back now. Like, how do you go and see these comments and then let the guy come back to spring training? They're gonna make some kind of deal where they take another big contract for my big contract and hope that we turn it around. I didn't hate the move at the time. Like, honestly, like Montgomery had good magic. He was doing well, still young enough. But as we talked about, you come in late from spring training, the Scott Boras curse. So yes, I'm calling it the Scott Boras curse, where you hold out and then spring training starts, you're cursed most likely, and just ask those players. So Montgomery, I like his chances coming in with a full spring training under his belt, but I think they got to unload him. That's not the best scene. Plus, tell me, Kareem, as a former player, if you're a player on the Diamondbacks and you hear your owner say that, I assume that's not great for morale overall for the team.
Not at all, not only for the team, but for yourself. How you expect me to produce when my own owner is telling me that I suck? You know, on my mind, you don't want me anymore. You're the owner. What am I doing on your team if you say that was the worst mistake? They're going to have to send him to the American League, not even on the National League because they don't want to face him. Because if they face him, he's going to probably try to stick it up to them. So they're going to go to the American League. They're going to send it to American League.
So speaking of making comments to the media, how did you like Winker's comments about the Brewers? That's the worst city, worst team. Did you like that one?
I mean, Milwaukee is a city that I played before, but that's not too many things that you can enjoy out of the city. But for you to mention that stuff, I mean, it's a little iffy. You know what I'm saying? Because you're over there to play baseball, not to do other things.
But when he comes to the city, like the way Reese Hoskins came and played against Philadelphia, against the Mets, it makes it for interesting times. Like I don't have the worst issue in the world that he did it, but it could have been he could have been a little smarter about it. But maybe look, he got his name into the media, he gets himself the attention, and then look, Winker needs all the attention he can get because he wants to get playing time at the end of the day. So from the Mets perspective, I think as long they're not facing Milwaukee right now, I don't know if they care or not. But Milwaukee, looking back, Kareem, it gets very frustrating at some point to be a Brewers fan. You know, off season, lose a player, can't afford them. Bunch of guys got hurt, still did really well, won the division, and we didn't go very far in the playoffs. Like, unless you start signing all your guys, aside from Churio, if they give up Devin Williams in the future, they give up Freddie Peralta. How they can't keep running this out and keep expecting to get division leads. Like at some point, the Brewers are going to fall without their stars.
Yeah, I mean, they're still relying on Yelich. He gets hurt all the time, and they're getting a little bit older. And like you say, if the young guys, your core, you don't sign them to a long-term deals right now, which will be cheaper at the end of the day, for if you sign up for 6 7 years, you're not gonna you're not gonna be making playoff anytime soon. In a few years, because the Cubs are gonna sign more guys. They're gonna put more money, and the whole division is up for grabs right now. Actually, Cincinnati, they're young, they're good, and they're the up and coming the team.
And they go out and they sign Terry Francona as their manager. Like that came out of left field completely. We thought for
I
health
know.
reasons he's retired, he's done, Hall of Famer, that's where he's going. Uh the Reds with Francona and that amount of talent. I know he has a history with Cincinnati and Ohio in general, and he saw the talent base, but that talent with Francona, I think the whole division is scared right now. Like
Yeah.
the Reds have to be now going to be the favorites. They should have done it this year. Now with Francona, if they have health, I like that team a lot.
Tito Francona is an amazing person, coach, and manager. I was able to be on the same thing. He was the bench coach when Eric Wedge was the manager for the Cleveland Indians. And the knowledge that Tito brings for the young guys and the way that he makes you feel comfortable, don't have any doubts in your mind, telling you, you know what, if you go 0 for 20, you're still going to be playing the next game because I believe in you and I trust you. And that type of mentality for a manager coming to a young hitter or a pitcher, whatever it is, it gets you to play even better and do the best that you can to show him that he's right. And Tito comes there because he has a very good sense of communication with the young hitters and the young pitchers. In Cleveland, we have a lot of young guys at that time, and Cleveland was making the playoff with talent, not with the money.
If I'm Hunter Green, if I'm Diaz, Steer, De La Cruz, McLean, I'm doing cartwheels right now. Having knowing Francona's coming, man, I know that I'm gonna have to play hard, but I know he's gonna be fair, and they're gonna win a lot of games. Tito, you're listening to this podcast. You can always use a good hitting coach. 'Cause I know Cincinnati, by the way, cleared out all their coaches, and they need a whole bunch of new voices. Kareem's waiting for your call, so
Get
let's make.
ready. I'll send you the number later.
We need a Reds jersey with Garcia on the back. So you could do a lot worse than. And can you imagine Kareem coming in as a hitting coach and having all those hitting prospects that they have? How much fun would you have there?
Oh, it will be Christmas coming in just to see all those guys, because you know the talent, and you know that they have to work in just a little bit of things for them to fix their swings. Eli de la Cruz, with their speed and velocity and power that he has, that's a guy that you tweak a little bit his stance more than his swing. So he's going to be hitting 300 and he's going to hit you 35 to 40 jacks. And we'll be doing 40 and 40 every year if he can, because he can do that.
And remember, they have that third baseman that had that issue and came back, Marte, right? And
Yes.
he's still, world of talent. Now he's gonna have a full spring training and a full season behind him. They're gonna and India is still
Yeah,
back. They're
exactly.
gonna have too many hitters, too many people for not enough positions. Encarnacion Strand, like there's an embarrassment of riches, and when they all their prospects are going, the way I see it, Kareem, they trade one of those hitting prospects for one pitcher, and they get another guy in there with Green. Be very interesting in Cincinnati. Milwaukee, what did they got to do now? Like now, you lost Council. You're gonna lose Devin Williams either this year or next year. What is Milwaukee got to do to stay in contention? Because I thought they looked good this year, but I guess losing Yelich, that was the final straw this year.
Yeah, but you cannot rely on Yelich. I mean, he's been getting hurt for the last 6 years. He's in and out all the time. You need someone to replace Yelich to be the leader of the team. I'm not saying this guy is done. It's just he's prone for injuries all the time. He's going to play you half of the year. He's going to play you 81 games, 100 games. And that doesn't help you. Uh, and I think that Milwaukee is going to have to actually do a deep clean on their house to do something else to actually make it to the next playoff for next year if they wanted to contend on that. And the other teams are going to spend money to fight you for the division.
You're the Milwaukee GM. Baltimore calls you up. Jackson Holliday, top prospect in baseball. We know he's going to be the best player in the game. We just don't have the time to wait for him because our contention is right now. Jackson Holliday for Freddie Peralta, who hangs up the phone first.
I think Baltimore. I think Jackson Holliday moving out of the environment that he is right now, because he's going to be feeling press in Baltimore already, which he's been playing for them. And you change the scenario, change the mentality, fresh start, not the pressure that you're feeling in Baltimore, that you're the superstar, the number one prospect, going to Milwaukee, which is a different city, team, and completely different environment. It'd be good for a holiday.
But Baltimore hangs up the phone.
Yeah.
Okay. Devin Williams for Jackson Holliday, who hangs up the phone.
Baltimore's still hanging on the phone. They're gonna stick with him.
Okay, I call you back again. All right. I see. Okay. We know the contentions here for you guys now. Peralta and Williams for Holiday, and we take a couple guys from AAA.
That's a fair trade. That then Milwaukee is going like, okay, I'll take this deal. Now it's a little different.
Now let's say they take Jackson Holiday, another top hitting prospect and a pitching prospect for Devin Williams and Freddie Peralta. You put Peralta and Williams in Baltimore. Baltimore is lasting a lot longer in the playoffs. And why I'm telling you this, because I think that's the missing ingredients. They have so many hitting prospects like the Reds. They need a little bit more pitching. And yes, I know Batista's coming back, but how good would Devin Williams look in a Baltimore uniform?
Unbelievable. The thing is, unfortunately, and like they say, like we say all the time, is one thing is playing during the season, and one thing is when you change the name and you put postseason. In postseason is do or die. and Baltimore didn't had enough. I don't know if they feel pressure because they're always fighting the Yankees the whole time through the whole year. You make the playoff and you get out on the wild card right away. I mean, I thought that Baltimore was gonna be Baltimore Yankees is gonna be the series right now instead of Kansas City and Yankees. That would have been amazing for everyone. It would have been more tickets, more people watching it on TV. But now it's Kansas City against Yankees, and to tell you the truth, without disrespect to Kansas City, Baltimore would have sold more TV viewers than the Kansas City Royals.
Absolutely. Now, finishing off with Devin Williams, my sources did tell me where they think he is landing. Do you want to know the prediction of where Devin Williams will go next year?
Where? Toronto.
No, Toronto. Toronto needs a lot more than Devin Williams. Trust me. No, apparently it's going to be the Dodgers. Everybody's predicting that the Dodgers are going to scoop up and they need that one final piece. But man, they just can't keep accumulating everybody. So Baltimore, sticking with Baltimore, and then we'll get to the Astros. Baltimore, you make the playoffs. You have a strong team. Jackson Holiday obviously didn't get going yet. Once he gets going, look, they Rushman took time, right? They all take time. Gunnar Henderson, but man, when they get everybody going, they get another pitcher in that starting rotation. I don't know if they're going to keep Burns or not. That's a big if, right? They have other injuries to deal with, but Baltimore, I assume they like where they're at. They keep tracking where they're tracking basically, and just hope the guys get more experienced and go farther. Like, where do you see Baltimore going?
No, Baltimore has continued to do the same thing as they did last year, this year. I mean, there's a team they're going to be in contention, but unfortunately, you have probably the strongest division out of the whole Major League Baseball, which is the American League East. When you have the Yankees, you have Boston, you have Toronto, you have Baltimore and Tampa, which is always the last one that everybody think about it. But Tampa has the best, actually, prospects, pitching prospects of all of them. With little money, they always make it to the playoff somehow. Every 2 3 years with the pitching prospects and the magic that they do all the time. And little money, they make it. Instead, the other teams like the Yankees and Boston, they're going to spend a lot of money to make the playoff. They're buying playoffs. These guys are actually making playoff with whatever they have.
By the way, the Rays, Tropicana Field, the roof blew off. I don't know if they're going to be able to. I don't know what their story is going to be this year. Maybe they relocate to Oakland for a year, but they may have some issues at home field, unfortunately. Like, very scary what's going on right now in Florida. Prayers to all the people affected by it. But this is where, you have a home field with a roof there. May be an interesting year to see what happens with the Rays. Now, final team, Astros. I think Bregman's coming back. Verlander, don't see him coming back. This is a team aging, aging, aging. This is like what the Yankees were at one point when everybody just got old at the same time. I think the window is closing very, very rapidly on the Astros. They're still going to be in contention, but the Rangers haven't gone away yet. The Mariners haven't gone away. They still got a good core. Um, I'm a little fearful for the Astros and their fans. I think there's gonna be a little bit more of a reset. I think that the window of what we saw with the Astros, we need that new influx of young talent. And I think now it's time to pause, maybe move some of the guys, but I don't think they're gonna do it. I think in their minds, they're still in contention. I think they're gonna go down with the ship. They're gonna keep all the aging veterans. I don't know if that's the best decision. What do you think with the Astros, Kareem?
I think that they're going to have to reload. They'll have to get rid of some of the guys, the older guys. They're fan favorites, but that doesn't put people for the playoffs. Bregman, Altuve said for Bregman, hey, you have to sign him now. You have to pay for this guy. And Bregman right now is, I think, 30 years old. What are you going to give him? 5 years, 6 years tops? And hoping that he doesn't get injured? You cannot give him 9 years. You give him four with a another year. 4 years plus. If you make so many games every year, you can play the fifth year. But no, I think they're gonna have to change. They got good pitching. I like their pitching. They got some injuries on the pitching wise. They got to work a little bit on their bullpen. But I mean, they're going to be in contention for the next couple of years. But if they don't make changes and bring new blood to the team, I think that they're going to fade down in a couple of years. They're going to fade away.
I had Framber on my fantasy team. Ronald Blanco, I went out and grabbed him right away after that no hitter on both teams. He did really well. Uh, Look, it's a team that I don't see them, going with the youth movement and bearing it down. But sitting here in Toronto, I can tell you, I read daily articles about Springer, and man, the Jays are now eating that contract. Like this was a guy who was very exciting to get at the beginning of the contract, but you sign him for too long in their mid 30s, the wrong side of 30. The speed is not there as much. Not the center fielder he was. OBP under 300. It gets a little scary.
Yeah, it does. I mean, every time you sign a guy over 30 years old on a long contract, you know that you're going to have to be eating the last few years out of that contract for sure. Unless he gets senior and then something else, happens.
Well, that's how we're going to repair those teams. So these were the teams that came ultra close, but not close enough, and they got a lot of work to do. Send us in your comments whether you're a Brewers fan, Orioles fan, Braves fan. Let's hear from you, Astros. Though it seems like whoever's not in Houston really hates Houston, except for the Astros fans. But send in your comments. Let us know what you think and how you would help those teams. Always love to hear from you. And you never know, your question may make the comments. And we'll come back next week. And next week, we're going to be talking about legacy. We'll see where we're going with this. This is the Chosen Baseball Journey.